Hi MECPers. I wanted to do a video because I thought it could help a lot of you in your journey to success and to tell my story. And you'll have to excuse me, I wrote notes because this is not my forte. I'm sure it will become something I'm good at in the future, but right now I got notes. So I joined the Navy in 2014 and I was selected this past fiscal year for 2023. Let's start with the background of how to get selected, which is sustained superior performance. So my timeline of sustained superior performance actually starts with failure. So I failed out of my school before I joined the Navy with a 0.96 GPA, which is awful. And then when I joined, I was an E3, and I made sure that I let my failure motivate me because I hated that feeling. I posted a video earlier and he is spot on. I hated that feeling of failure and I didn't want it again. So I got my aviation warfare as an E3. I received a NAM as an E3, and I managed command level programs for a large command of about 900 people and just put myself in leadership positions. And people saw that I was capable, and so they kept giving them to me and they let me run my show. So then I was mapped to E4, which, by the way, I joined the Navy as an AE and was mapped to AE3 and then cross-rated to YN3. So then I went from a maintenance background into an admin background, and I managed my admin shop. So it was kind of interesting because I had a YN1 and he was happy to let me grow and succeed. It wasn't that he wasn't doing his job as a YN1. He was like, you got this. And so he let me. And I was then mapped again to E5. So I've been double mapped. And then my academic background with all of that timeline is that I got my associate's degree before I transferred to my second command. So I had my first couple of years in, my first tour, I got mapped twice. I got my associate's degree. I already had college credits from before when I joined the Navy that helped me achieve it really, really fast. And I maintained leadership roles in command level positions. So, and then I got my NAM. That's just all at the first tour. So sustained superior performance. It doesn't have to be the same as me, but you should be looking to achieve big goals, right? Like MAPS, Sailor of the Quarter, Sailor of the Year. Those are the things that are going to help you stand out. So then I transferred and I was on this high, right? Like I had achieved all of these accomplishments at my last command. And then I got a welcome aboard P. That sucked because it was actually really good for me. It made me feel a lot more humility and humble, and so that worked out well for me because I had a bit of an attitude problem. And it's good and bad, right? Like I spoke up for myself, I spoke up for others, but I didn't know how to do it tactfully. I didn't know how to speak to my leadership respectfully sometimes. Some I did, some I didn't. But the humility and the mentorship I gained from my chiefs, that helped me a ton to be able to keep myself in check. So got an attitude shift really does make a big difference. So it's why I'm mentioning it. It may not seem like it's applicable for your MECP application, but it makes a huge difference because if you can't speak with tact as an officer, it matters. So back to my notes. So I got my transfer, welcome aboard P, and I went ahead and I wanted to submit my MECP application for the first time. So the background on that is I had no idea what I was doing. I was at a command of CTs. They had no idea what to do. They were like, good luck, you'll figure it out. And so I went to a local hospital and I asked if anybody knew what they were doing about MECP, and I got referred to a commander and we worked on things together. And because I hadn't gone back to college to improve my GPA, I wasn't ready. but that is looking back. That's hindsight. But I'm still really, really glad I applied anyway, because it set the framework for my second application. And I felt a lot less stressed on my second application than I did my first. It also didn't help that I started my first application in May and submitted it in September. So it's a very short fuse timeline to get all that stuff done, especially when you have no clue what you're doing. So for my first application, what else besides my GPA was wrong? My 7 out of 10 interview appraisal board was not good. It was not like they told me I was awful, but they knew that I needed room to improve. They commented at the board, "Are you in college right now?" And I said no. So my overall GPA was still really suffering, and they knew that that would make an impact for my selection. So let's see. Right after my application, I did start college, but it was just not the right timing to be able to put that in the application, right? So submitted, then started school in the fall after the application was due. So I maintained a 4.0 the entire time up until this last recent selection. So that's good. And I was able to, well, actually, I'll get there. I'll hold off on that. So then within my career, I went from a PE eval to an MP, showing progression. I maintained some leadership roles, and I started to be recognized as a subject matter expert within my job. And then I went ahead and did my second submission. So my second submission, my application was much, much better. I had really quality letters of recommendation. I had been attending our local MECP meetings that we have here in Hawaii, and I had, I couldn't remember it, so I paused it. And I had gotten a 10 out of 10 on the interview appraisal board. So the appraisal got better, letter of recommendation got better, eval got better, and then my GPA got better. So I was like, awesome, this is a great application. But I did not get selected. And so I reviewed the application and figured out, after I did some math, that even though I was maintaining a 4.0 GPA, because of that 0.96 GPA from when I failed in college in 2014, which at that point was 7 years ago. So 7 years ago was still impacting me and my goals and my dreams. And I didn't get selected because my GPA wasn't high enough. That's my theory. Obviously, they don't tell you. So didn't have a minimum cumulative GPA of 2.5. So I did the math. I figured out how many classes I need, how many A's I needed to have in order to maintain 4.0 the entire time, and I got that. I got selected with a 2.63 GPA, so it wasn't amazing, but I had maintained a 4.0 for over 2 years with consecutive classes that did not stop. And so let me get back to my notes, because again, sorry, I'm not great at this. All right, so my third application, I was working with my command this entire time. My command was just as disappointed that I didn't get picked up on my second application as I was. They were shocked. They were like, wait, what do you need from us? Because you should have gotten selected. And it was actually my chief who suggested I go ahead and go shadow. And I was like, I would love to do that. I want to go shadow at a hospital, but I didn't think that it would be possible. And he said, we'll figure it out. So I went and shadowed 1 day a week for 8 to 12 hours at my local hospital. And here it's Tripler Army Medical Center, so I was working with Army personnel. And I got about 150 hours total between April and September for this application that I got selected on. But in addition to that, my command, as hard as I was working on everything for my MECP stuff, I was still putting in the work for my command. And I got selected for SOQ, SOY, and I got #1 EP out of my summary group of 181. So I maintained that sustained superior performance. And then within my package, I went ahead and got my IW, and I got my joint accommodation medal. So the IW was significant for my command. Maybe the board didn't recognize this, but my command recognized the fact that I got my IW because it wasn't a requirement. It was an optional thing. So I highly recommend that if there's something that's optional that your leadership is telling you should do it, because it will help you to achieve your goals. Whether or not it's something that's MECP related or medical related or nursing related, if they're telling you that it's going to help you succeed at the command, do it. I mean, use your judgment, of course, but I went ahead and I made time for it. I spent about a month studying and taking time out of just to work on my IW. So, let's see what else. Oh, one more significant thing. On my third application was when I felt like quitting. I got so many more problems from this last application than I did with any of the other ones, which I found so ironic because I was like, this is the best one. This is my best application that I've ever put in. And I'm having such a hard time completing it. Every single part of it seemed like a headache more than the other times that I've put in for this. It was hard to get my medical paperwork, more than ever had been before, extra steps that weren't required in the past. And then the ECM approval was the absolute worst for me. So he told me no, I'm a YN. I was like, what? You can't afford a YN to get out of the Navy for an officer commissioning? And no, I mean, I don't manage billeting, so I don't know, but it felt awful. And so I submitted my third application without my ECM's approval. I sent it in the mail, and then I emailed Ms. Kemp that day, and I said, Ms. Kemp, I submitted my application without ECM approval. Is it possible to get, ECM approval later when the board decisions are made? And I didn't get an email back from her about that, yes or no, but I CC'd my ECM. I had been in constant communication with my ECM, and I CC'd my ECM. I didn't want him to feel like I was blindsiding him by letting Ms. Kemp know that I submitted the application and that my ECM hadn't given me approval. I didn't want anybody to feel like they were in the dark and that I was trying to get one over on either person. So my ECM actually granted my approval 2 days before the addendum deadline. So I submitted my application on September 1st, and on September 13th, I got an email from him and a phone call on my way to work that said, you're released from your rating if you still want it, and just submit the paperwork. And I was like, okay. It didn't even matter to me that I'd already given him paperwork. I was like, I'm going to send it to him again. And I got my release, and I emailed it and mailed it all in as an official document with the addendum, and I got selected. So I get it. I get all of it. I get the feelings of failure. I get wanting to quit. But I just want to encourage you to keep going, because if I can get selected from a 0.96 GPA to here and now, you can too. Best of luck, guys.